Okay, welcome to another episode of Unorthodox Otaku Guy. I'm going to be doing an unboxing of a nice treat today. This is a figure of Megumin from Konosuba, and she's I would say, a less common figure in the lineup of figures available. So stay tuned, let's check out, see if it's any good. Alright guys, welcome back, and alright, so you're probably curious about this figure here, which is slightly a little bit of an oddball figure from, I would say, I believe it is Banpresto. It is a Bandai supplier. This is a prize figure in Japan. It even does state that it is meant to be only used as a prize figure in Japan. Of course, that doesn't stop the market from selling them overseas, which I'm actually quite grateful for because I don't live in Japan. Anyways, for this figure here, it is actually quite large. Let me give you an idea of how big this is. Here I have my Alice in Wonderland Rem, very recent prize figure from Furyu, who is also a premium prize figure company. They do a wonderful job. Now this figure isn't exactly big in terms of size print. Now this one is much bigger. Also the box is severely much bigger too. I was shocked when I saw how big this box was. I was not expecting the prize figure inside to be on I would say a scale figure type size. So to give you an idea of, I guess, that it is a very big figure. Now, question is the real estate going to show for anything of the worth of the figure? They did a good job on shipping this. It overall is in pretty good condition, and I'm glad too because this is not a cheap figure. The edges are all pretty good shape. They got a little bit of tape from all the packaging and whatnot. You just have a general gist of the figure here, how it's set up. A little bit of information on the back here that I cannot read whatsoever. Okay, and then we have just a little bit of information here on the front as well, and the Konosuba emblem. Now there are no authenticity stickers as I saw on this. You do have the Katakawa print on the back here. So this is a very unique prize figure that was released, and I barely found out that this thing came out. When I did, I immediately wanted to hunt it down, and it was roughly about 80 bucks, and I know that's pretty high. But the thing is, there are not too many of these available. I know a lot of people are sourcing to Japanese Yahoo auctions to get these, but I have not seen this flood eBay very easily. They were very limited to none available, so I'm very grateful to have gotten one. If prices come down, I'm very happy that if you get the chance to grab one, because this was just way a lot for a prize figure, and I do not ever want to spend a lot on a prize figure, ever. But Megumin is in my top favorite character range, so let's give her a shot. And I know I've got people very curious about her in terms of what she looks like and everything. So let's check her out. We have an enormous clamshell. The box on the inside has a blue sky backdrop in it. So it does have like a nice little printed theme in there. Not very common you will see in a prize figure. Normally you'll see just a blank box. This one actually has a display window and everything. So they very much treated this like a scale figure. Very, very different for a prize figure here, because this technically is a prize figure. It's just like a different scale level of prize figure. Oh wow, I just split the tape and it just already separated, so we're gonna flip her on her back there so we don't have it fall out. So the push tabs were not pushed in, so be warned on that. That's why I always like to do it face down like this and then lift off. That way nothing falls out and gets destroyed. Let's take her hat out. put that to the side. We have some sort of clip or stand or something here. Let's see. This looks like a mold. It's a acrylic or PVC little cut. Looks like the hat falls into it to keep it standing up. And then we have Megumin herself, who is wrapped in a lot of plastic, which is pretty typical for a prize figure. Okay, so they have her set up here in her typical adventure outfit. Now, they don't have her eye patch on, which is actually a nice touch. I actually like it when they do take her eye patch off. I find her a very adorable character, so without her eye patch is very good. Let's take off... Let's take off her plastic very carefully, shall we? Okay, so her head does separate. That's very good, because that's going to help take out this plastic. Does that mean that the cape comes off? Yes, it does. Alright, I actually like that because now we can actually break down and check out the figure just a little bit more in terms of our details before we assemble everything. Okay, so we did a good job on wrapping everything up. I'm very, very much grateful for that. So, wow, holy crap. Alright, so this has a good amount of weight to it. Very, very lot of weight to it. I'm actually going to get scientific on this. One sec. So now we got our scale on. Let's see if we have it in the shot here. Now we're going to put the prize figure of my Alice in Wonderland RAM with the base included. And we are looking at 5.1 ounces at the moment for that figure. Alright, so that's just the figure itself. Now this is the base of Megumin. No head, no cape, no hat. And we are looking at a whopping 5.5 ounces for just the lower base of this figure. This is all in all. That is very, very heavy and a solid block of awesome right there. So to give you an idea of how much weight is in this piece, it's like, holy crap. They definitely dumped a lot of plastic in that. Let's overall look at everything that was done for this lower base, shall we? So, we have the lower portion of Megumin here, and it did do a decent job on at least sculpting some collarbones here. Very important touch for me because I'm very much a fan of key like structural points on like human anatomy, especially if there's a little hint of the back shoulder blades showing sculpted there, which is a very nice touch. For the belt here, it actually is semi-separated, so it does feel like it has a little depth to it. Really nice. Painted okay. The actual dress itself, I guess I call it adventurer's dress or something. Maybe a tunic. It's very unique clothing, so it's kind of hard. I don't know what to call it exactly, but anyways, it's painted okay. It does have some imperfections in it, in the coat. You can definitely see some like marks and whatnot in it. I'm not exactly sure why, but the actual paint job itself is perfectly fine. I'm actually seeing some pretty consistent lines. Not too bad all around. Some little overage on the bottom there. It's very, very minor. Much better than some of the stuff I've seen. Let's see on the boots. The boots have awesome color, nice burnt orange look to it with some dark orange hues at crevicing where the folds are. It's actually really nicely painted, looks wonderful. Very much a fan of how they did the boots. Underneath is pretty basic. You're not really going to see it, so it's not really a big worry, but there is actually attention to detail there, even though you're not going to see it whatsoever, especially when it comes to the fact that the dress actually folds down and under in, so you're not even going to get an upskirt even too. So for you perverts out there, they added details even though there is no need for it. The wraps here are in very nice, not just plain, but they actually have a little bit of shadowing done to them. So definitely a little bit of attention to details there. They also flattened it out too, so she's going to sit really nice and easy. Also realistic because that's what's gonna happen if you're sitting down. The black pants here have not just one hue of darkness, but also little darker areas for crevices, which is really nice. You have nice little details here for the stitching on the front of the shirt. It's not just painted on, it also is sculpted and it has depth to it in the crevice underneath. So that's really, really cool. Very happy with that. The separation point here where her arms come out of the sleeves don't look too bad. They don't stick out too gaudily, which is pretty good. I could use a little more shadowing, but you know, what do you expect for, I guess, a prize figure? So for hands sculpt very nicely. They have a good amount of attention to the actual size of the fingers. That's a big thing when it comes to more affordable figures. So good job on that. There's not too much in terms of the paint detail. So a little on that is just, I guess, very basic. The gloves look fine. They have nice sculpting to them, but the overall, I guess, the skin tone is lacking. But that's usually where prize figures I noticed are on a little lacking side, is actually the skin tone. It is a little glossy. It's a little glossy. Thankfully, when it comes to Megumin here, she's actually not showing too much skin, but you do have to account for the fact that her face is there. So her face is on the glossy side. So we're going to go over actually to her face now, talking about that. We do have a collar around her, which actually really helps with seaming. So it's going to look a lot nicer when it's all put together. She has a cute expression on her. It's a very kind of like exasperated, like kind of like just an O face or something. The eyes are pretty basic. They just look like stickers on there, I think. I'm not sure if they're painted or not. They look just fine though. They have a lot of detail to them and they don't stick out too hard, especially because the skin is so glossy. So they kind of like blend in perfectly. Hair looks perfectly fine. The sculpt is very acceptable. It has the very typical sculpt line here for the separation from the front hairpiece to the rear. Very typical, and it's actually matched very nicely because it's going along with one of the separations where the ear is. So not bad on that. Good job. I would say they did a decent job also keeping the line for the head as tucked up as possible to near impossible to see, because since they used it as the collar, they didn't really need to show anything on the neck there, so the neck is nice and smooth. So I guess it's a pro there. We're gonna go on to the cape real quick and see if there's anything here, and I can tell you right off the bat, someone messed up on the paint job for the cape. So the line for the cape is here and it goes along. It actually sticks out even into the gold, but the purple brown color actually goes a little too far up and to the right, and there's some gold, so there's some serious overlapping here, and then it actually extends over into the other side, and they accidentally overpainted over here, and then someone looks like they tried to correct it or something, and it was a kind of a little bit of a whoops. So we got a big screw up corner, sadly. The rest of it is actually looking quite fine. There's nice shadow spots, giving it some depth. So this corner's okay, not perfect, but okay. It looks like the corners they had the biggest issues with, which is kind of weird because I think that's the easy portions. They messed up on the easy areas, but the areas that required shadowing and depth, they did a good job on. And the edging on the actual neck is fine. I'm curious how they actually screwed up on the easier portions, because even up here, because this is what I'm going to see more often too, they didn't screw up really too bad up here. This actually looks just fine in the upper portions. So the lower portion of the cape on the outside, this one's really bad in this corner, and this one's okay. And they bothered to paint underneath it too, which they did a better job underneath it than they did on top of it. Damn it. Well, is what it is, but the cape is in shape. Now what's cool is you can take this cape off. If you don't want the cape on, it's optional. So really cool little added piece right there. And then we can put her head on. And her head has a seam, which is hidden by the collar. Very clever. And then we can take her hat. Now, her hat is going to be held, it looks like the face of the hat is going upward. So let's look at the hat real quick. Okay, so we might have the same issues here, but no, they did a wonderful job on the hat. The edging is really well done on the hat. So let's see the inside, let's see the face. Again, really, really good. I don't see any major overages. So they did a wonderful job on the hat so far. The tail is good. It's got a nice cutoff point at the tail. Wow. Okay, so they did a stellar job on the hat. The rim is done excellent. They got the painter on point. So no flaws on that, which is good because this is the front centerpiece, to be honest. And we're gonna put this hat in its little holder and then tuck it into her hands like such. So the little holder helps prop it up if you want to use that holder. And there's kind of like a little divot there. She holds it, and there we go. And then he has this adorable little expression of her wearing her cape, holding onto her hat, kneeling on the ground, probably exhausted after using an explosion and unable to perform anything afterwards whatsoever because she dumped all of her experience points into one skill. So that is our lovely Megumin. She's adorable, she's hilarious, and I actually think this is probably one of the coolest prize figures I've ever come across. And surprisingly really dense too, like it is heavy. So we're gonna get the scale out. Let's power this bad boy on, and let's see how heavy it is as a whole. So it's zeroed out. So let's take the hat off. Let's put her on there. Put the hat back in her hand, and she's up to 9.1 ounces. Can you believe that? That is heavy. That is almost double the other one. The other one's around 5 ounces. That is really, really heavy figure right there. All right, so now I'm really curious about this because like this is the territory of how much she costs and how good she is as a prize figure. This is actually really, really good for a prize figure. Despite the cape issue. The cape is the only issue I'm seeing a really major problem with. Everything is not overpainted. Everything's painted really nicely. Besides the typical paint tone for the prize figures. Just if they got the paint tone right on prize figures, these would be exceptional. I'm jealous of painters out there that they could just take a prize figure and just repaint the skin and have a killer figure. But the paint is on the cape is a problem. The hat they did a good job on. But let's see how heavy a real figure is from a reasonable price comparison point. Okay, so this figure has a way higher sculpt, way better paint job than the Megumin here. So let's see how heavy that one is. And this one's coming in at 7.4 ounces. And the size range is relatively, I would say, about the same size. If not, maybe a little bigger, because she's taller for this 02 here. So this is a solid block of whatever material they use. If it was PVC or I don't know, whatever they use, ABS or PLA, or I don't know, probably PVC. But that is a dense figure there, almost at, it's like 9.1 ounces, and this one clocking in at like about 7.5 ounces. For this is a high-end Kotobukiya one. This one runs about $100, and the aftermarket for this Megumin right now is roughly around $80. So to give you an idea of that, it's like, whoa, that's a heavy figure there. And this box that it came in is way bigger. This box is way bigger than a Kotobukiya box. It's just a lot of plastic. So do I recommend this prize figure? So let's get this one out of the way. We gave an idea of a comparison between other prize figures. All right. The weight, the sculpt, paint job, the details, and I would say this one gets a pass. In terms of, not a pass, that's a bad wording, because pass could mean to pass on this figure. This one gets a acceptance. This is a very nice little figure, and if you can get over the cape, then that's the issue I had with this, was they screwed up on the paint lines on the cape. And if all fairness, I could take her head off, remove that cape, and I could just have her. And since the collar is her neckline, I don't even need that cape. And she could be absolutely adorable without her cape. And she's holding onto her hat there. So, you know, being that this is an optional piece is really cool and could solve that problem. I'm still obviously going to have the cape on her because I'm going to get over that little overlap there. Because, like, if you're looking at that from a distance, you're not going to see that overlap. This is a really cool figure, and I really, really hope that the price comes down on her for people, because it's a super adorable pose for her. And it's very innocent, it's well done, the sculpt is really good, and it actually feels quality. It's very, very solid, and I'm looking forward to doing some interesting, adorable shots with her, because she's just one of my lovable characters that I just love. She's definitely my top favorites. So if you are a fan of Konosuba or Megumin, I'm gonna recommend this figure, even though the price is inflated. I just think it's just because of the fact that this was a rare figure. It's not a common prize figure whatsoever from what I've seen. It hasn't popped up barely ever, and I kind of just jumped on it because I was scared not to get it, because if I see it this way, if I like a pose and a sculpt so much that I think I want it, then I'm going to regret it if I don't get it, because then it's going to get super inflated later. It's going to be possible to get, and now I don't regret it. Now she's part of my collection, and she's gonna go against the next one that's coming out. I'm gonna get the Denki Bunko one, or whatever it's called, which I think the sculpt and the paint job looked awesome on it. I don't even have it yet. It looks awesome, but I haven't been able to find one that I liked yet, because the Belfine one looks really plain. And the Belfine figure was a scale figure that was way more expensive than this. Look it up, you'll see Belfine. They make a lot of figures. They made like the whole cast. They made Eris even. Granted, I'm probably going to end up buying the Eris, because I don't think anyone else is going to make Eris. Or Union. So I was very happy they made Union. But couldn't make Megumin. She's one of the top 3, of course, so you know you'd expect her to be everywhere. So, but they did a bad job on the Belfine one. It was very boring. And the Sega prize figures for her, they're kind of like that Fryu Ram I have. They're very common, typical run-of-the-mill figures, and their price is jacked up. You could spend about between $60 to $80 on her prize figure. It's like, why? The Megumin tax is just hard. But anyways, this one is very nice. If you have the chance to jump on it and the price isn't bad, I highly recommend it. So thank you guys so much for watching this weird video of I would say a very unorthodox figure, because there's not too many of them out there, and I was very happy to add one to my collection, and she arrived safely and sound. So if this helped you decide if you wanted to hunt one down for yourself, get one for yourself too, let me know if this video helped you at all, especially my little breakdown of the quality, the paint, the overall appeal of everything, the customization level of her, because you can take pieces off, everything about the video. Hopefully it just helped, because I love Megumin and I love figures. Figures are my love. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Remember to stay unorthodox. And if you made it to the end of this, please leave a like and subscribe. Check out my social medias. I'll have them, of course, always listed. You might see a really cute artistic shot that I like to take. I love to take wonderful shots of figures. And let me know if this channel is doing well, or anything you'd like to see changed on the channel. Thank you so much, and take care.